Alright, for the antivirus and anti-malware software have been for a very long time around, starting from very simple antivirus from the late 80s and early 90s. Let's go inside and see what's the definition. So we define the antivirus and the anti-malware software as follows. The antivirus software is a program or a set of programs that are designed to prevent, search, detect, and remove software viruses and other malicious software like worms, trojans, adware, and more. And there's a lot of products. Most of you are aware of the antivirus and even installed a couple of them. There's open source and some of them commercials. But the main difference here is to detect, block, and remove viruses and unwanted software, especially ransoms, preventing identity theft and block phishing and fraud, warning about dangerous websites, which is very popular right now, scanning for dark web, if you really want to go that way. Also keeping online accounts protected with encryption. This added feature that started to be in the recent antivirus to put a little bit of encryption after a while. And some of them actually can have password storing features and capabilities for that. So usually it's beneficial for you. Another part here that we can look at the antivirus from the action point of view. Usually it will be sitting somewhere in your network right after the firewall and have a set of database or set of lists that is start to search the network activity for some protocol identification. If it finds it, it means it detected a virus. It goes to one way, as you see here. If no, it will be a regular communication. If there's a virus, it goes and check what is the execution, or if there's any exception for this virus. It might be a similar signature, but it's a good program. So it will go to the allow part. If not, it go either to alert and block and all the required actions. Some of the antivirus software have a quarantine zone. If there's a file infected, they will push it there. It's like a protected database and the file is not very active. Usually there's a difference between moving the file or just contained in place, because sometimes even moving the file that is infected can cause further infection to your network. Actions of the antivirus and software can be seen in this diagram. As you can see, it is look at the files. Most of the files that will be executable will be hidden in an exe, DLL, zip file, or a PDF. Some of them can be in a Microsoft type of macro, but all of them needs to be scanned and sent for some sponsoring protection, I would say, zones. And this example of the metaflow where it can go and actually protect your file before they can be really executed in your network. Now let's move to the firewalls. And the definition of the firewall is just a network device that can monitor incoming and outgoing traffic and decide whether to allow or block a specific traffic based on the definition that we said before with security policy and so on. We all know firewalls, and we all know that they have been around for like more than 25 years now. They first line of defense. Actually, it's a barrier between outside network and inside network. This is why most of the routers have a firewall capabilities right now, because this is actually your barrier between the networks. And it can be actually any network can be defined in two ways: trusted and trusted, inside and outside. Just two legs, like any router device, as we discussed in many of my other classes. Just two legs, leg inside and leg outside. And the firewall can be hardware, specific hardware for a firewall with two network cards. It can be a software running even on a Windows machine or a Linux machine, or it can be a combination of both. For example, Cisco devices where they have a hardware dedicated and a software added if you need to add a firewall module. There's a lot of types of firewalls, and the restricted functionality is the same. You have a router, you have a firewall inside, and for example, DMZ zone or cloning of other zone, and you can see authorized traffic and all traffic, how it can go and where the firewall can block. Very simple concepts. We can classify firewalls in these categories: proxy, firewall, stateful inspection, unified threat management of net generation. So let's color it up a little bit, and this is how we can see firewall is just sometimes called application firewall, which is just a proxy or a gateway basically. For the stateful inspection is SPF, is the most popular now, which have a traditional firewall, but now instead of just looking on the header of the traffic, it can go and look inside the contents itself of the traffic and correlate it with the historical activity of the network. This way it can be more smart and can detect more than just specific patterns, specific templates that you want to detect from your traffic. And a most recent firewall is the unified threat management, with a combination of a firewall, IPS, and antivirus. The first one apparently will be the endpoint, front point by Microsoft back in 2010, I guess. Yes, this was the first UTM available product. Then recently we talk about the next generation firewall, or they call it NGFW, which is a firewall, IPS, application awareness, and information feed all in one place in one product. It makes it much easier for you to work with the network and to manage it and see if there's any threat or any attack try to happen. Next, let's talk about VPNs. All of us use VPNs, and in our university we support connection to the VPNs to the internal labs and other devices. And the definition of the VPN is actually, it's a virtual private network, which is an encryption over the connection from other network. That's all about it. You want to connect from part A, part B, and you don't want anybody else to hear what you're talking about. You make a virtual connection, which can move if in one of the nodes are off, and you encrypt it. That's all about it. So this is very simple, but it's very important also, because based on the encryption for sensitive data, it raises your connection to the level of the same level of protection of your own network. This is why it becomes very widely used in a cooperative, in corporative and environments right now. And this is an example. You can have one part here, A and B, and between them you have this secure line of VPN. So any other authority, doesn't matter, government, hacker, or spooners, snoopers can be actually, they cannot see anything happen in this traffic. And this is the benefit of the VPN. This allows us now to have remote offices to the users, because this is one of the modes that the VPN can be used at. And usually, again, it is based on encryption and using of LANs, connecting different LANs using encrypted data. And the mode that we can operate is three: remote access, site to site, host to host. This is the three modes of the VPN. Go to one-to-one. This is how the remote access available. Just give you a specific software that you can use and connect you as if you're a part of the internal network. That's all about it. Site to site, instead of connecting only one user, you can connect a whole building or a whole LAN between different branches of the environment. As we have different campuses across the state, we can connect them all by VPN, by using a site to site connection. And usually you will have a branch or a gateway VPN device, because it can be make the connection faster, because instead of just encrypting every single client, you can encrypt the whole traffic together. This is why it become more beneficial and faster. As well as if you have a host-to-host connection, it's very easy. You can open an application on your side and the application on the destination side, and both of you parties will be communicating through encrypting channel. That's all about the VPN. And the next one, we'll talk about intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system.